Okay, so this is the first vinyl update that I've done for about 6 years now. I think the last one I did was in 2015. So excluding my last video, which was just showing my Record Store Day 2021 finds, this is the first time I've shown vinyl on the channel for 6 years. So you would think in that time I would have built up hundreds and hundreds of records to show you. Fortunately, that's not the case, because if that was the case, it would take me hours to get through them. So I mentioned in the last video that I kind of went through 2 to 4 years of not really buying a lot of vinyl. I probably bought a few records here and there, but it definitely was on the back burner. Just didn't have frankly, the financial resources or kind of the time to put into collecting vinyl, so kind of put it on the back burner for a while, and only recently have I started buying them again. So most of these finds are from the last year. However, there will be stuff in here from 4 or 5 years ago that I obviously didn't show. So yeah, I'll probably split this into 2 parts and do another update at a later date. But I'm just going to get through some of these now and show you what I've managed to pick up. So let's get started. All right, so first up, we'll start off with a bit of a bang. This is an album that has fast become one of my favourite albums of all time, which is saying quite a lot, because I've listened to a fair number of albums in my time. And funny enough, it's an album that I wasn't that fussed about when I first heard it. I must have first probably heard it about a decade or so ago. And always loved the band, but I was kind of on the fence about this one, and only recently have I really fallen in love with it. And I'm talking about Radiohead's In Rainbows from 2007. And it seems weird to say that this album came out in 2007, because to my ears it still sounds so fresh, so cutting edge. And you know, I really think Radiohead were at their peak during the making of this album. And yeah, as I say, it's just become an absolute favourite of mine. I just love the balance that they managed to strike on this between the accessibility and the kind of depth and the character and the kind of complexity that you would expect from Radiohead and Tom York, obviously. They're known for making quite depressing music at times, and you know, on albums like OK Computer, obviously that's an incredibly dark album in places, and also the same with Kid A. And I feel like on this album they kind of learnt to find a bit more of a balance between that darker side, more introspective side, and the kind of fun side of making music. And you know, I just think it's just an absolute masterpiece. I love every song on here pretty much. My favourite would be Reckoner. Reckoner is just an absolute masterpiece. I don't care what anyone says. The percussion on there, the vocal performance, just the way everything comes together. It's just one of those kind of blissful moments that you get in music from time to time that is just so hard to recreate. So Reckon is my favourite track. I love Weird Fishes / Arpeggi. That's one of my favourite songs on here. Body Snatchers, which funnily enough was actually recorded just down the road from where I live. In a place called Tottenham House, which is in Savernake Forest, where I did quite a lot of walking actually during lockdown. It's also the place that they named their album The King of Limbs after. There's a tree in Savernake Forest, an old oak tree that's over 1,000 years old, called The King of Limbs, which is pretty cool. So they have local connections as well, so that kind of adds to the impact when I'm listening to them. But In Rainbows is incredible. I'm sure many people agree that this is a great album, but I doubt that it would be at the top of everybody's list. Most people prefer OK Computer and probably Kid A as well, but pressing of this is super nice. Very thick cardboard sleeve, nice inner sleeve with lyrics on there as well, which is nice. And super heavyweight vinyl as well. This must be 180 gram. So yes, would definitely recommend you pick this up if you're into Radiohead in any capacity. So next up we have another favourite band of mine. This is a band that I always like to pick their albums up on vinyl, because I just think it sounds better on vinyl than it does as an MP3, and that is Fleet Foxes. This is their most recent release called Shore from 2020. I think this came out about 9 months or so ago. It's another nice pressing, gatefold sleeve, and I think it's got an etching on the fourth side. I'll show you. There we go. So yeah, I think it's a very solid album. I wouldn't put it up there with my favourite of theirs, which is Helplessness Blues, but I think it's probably second place for me. I think it's really, really solid. You got songs like Sunblind, Can I Believe You, Featherweight, so really solid stuff from Fleet Foxes. So definitely give this a listen if you haven't done yet. And yeah, I think it's a good one to pick up on vinyl, as I say, because I think their instrumentals are so intricate and kind of just complex, that I think listening to it on a vinyl format where it's not been compressed is kind of essential. So definitely check this one out. Right, at the same time as picking that one up, I also bought Laura Marling's most recent album. This is called A Song for Our Daughter. Again, a nice gatefold. And the main reason I picked this one up was actually because of the price. I think this was like £13 on Amazon, which is pretty much unprecedented nowadays. Certainly if you live in the UK, it's very rare to see a kind of new album on vinyl for less than 20, sometimes less than £25. So if you see anything for £13, I think it's, especially if it's something you're interested in, then it's kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, this is good stuff. I think it's her best album so far. She's put out some good stuff in the past, but this is, I'd say, her best release to date. Just really solid track listing. There's not a song on here that I skip or I don't like. And I just think she's very talented. I think she's definitely got Joni Mitchell vibes. I've always thought her voice was comparable to Joni's. Maybe not quite the same level as Joni in terms of songwriting, but yeah, she's very talented, and I think she's gone from strength to strength in some ways. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she'll do in the future. But yeah, definitely give this a listen if you're into folk music and singer-songwriter stuff. It's definitely worth a listen. So that is A Song for Our Daughter. Right, so I've noticed a bit of a shift towards audiophile pressings in the vinyl community. Maybe it's just my YouTube algorithm pointing me towards those videos. But I decided to kind of see what all the fuss was about, and I decided to pick up one of the Impulse reissues. So I got this. This is the John Coltrane Quartet with Ballads from 1963. This, of course, is with McCoy Tyner, Jimmy Garrison, and Elvin Jones. Not considered to be Coltrane's best work, but I think most people see it as a pretty good album, at least. So yeah, this was right on the upper end of what I'm kind of willing to pay for a record. I think this was about £38. But this is the Acoustic Sounds series from Analog Productions. I think I've still got the hype sticker somewhere. I got this little insert which shows you all of the reissues that they're going to be putting out in this Acoustic Sounds series. Also a bit of information about how they press the vinyl. And I have to say, even though I wouldn't say my system is geared towards this this quality of pressing, I haven't got the spec to kind of deliver the optimal experience of a pressing like this, but I do still think I can tell the difference, especially with the kind of how flat the vinyl is pressed and the kind of quietness of the record. It's so dead quiet, which for an album like this is essential because it's quite a quiet album anyway. So it really helps to have that quietness in the pressing, and I definitely can tell the difference between this and a kind of lower quality pressing. So I would recommend, if you're kind of on the fence about these kind of higher quality audiophile pressings, just pick one up like I have and see what you think. And if it kind of really impresses you and takes your breath away or whatever, then buy some more. I definitely would buy some more if I if I had more money, to put it simply. But I also did want to buy the other one they did of Coltrane, which was A Love Supreme. Unfortunately, I think that's pretty hard to get now in the UK. You might be able to get it kind of internationally, but you definitely will struggle to get that one if you're living in the UK. But this one I found in my record store and just decided to take the punt with it. So yeah, very, very happy with this one. The other thing I would say is also that just the quality of the sleeve. You got a kind of Stoughton tip-on jacket with a very nice gatefold, and a kind of glossy cover, which is always nice. So yeah, I can't say enough about the quality that they've put into these, which is another, whether we like it or not. I know some people are more fussed on packaging than others, but I do think it makes a difference when you get a product that just, you can just feel the quality with, and that's definitely the case with these Acoustic Sounds reissues. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. Now, this wouldn't be one of my videos if I wasn't showing something by Bob Dylan. So of course I picked up his most recent studio album. This is of course Rough and Rowdy Ways, which came out last year. What can I say about this album? I think it's good. I think the hype surrounding it and the kind of initial reviews that came out, that I read certainly, were a little bit hyperbolic. I thought, yes, it's good, but I think when you compare it to Dylan's best work, it doesn't really stack up. I think some of the songs are kind of close to coming together and just kind of fall at the final hurdle in some cases. I don't think the songs kind of entice you to come back to them particularly. However, I think there's some stuff on here that is really redeeming. I've made up my mind to give myself to you is a great song. Key West, I think, has a really nice sound to it. The kind of softness of that song is a nice change of pace. Songs like Murder Most Foul, which I actually did a review of last year on my channel, I think I fell into the trap of just getting too excited about new original music by Dylan, and perhaps I just was a little bit carried away. I think it's good, that song, but again it's a little bit long-winded, and I don't think it really needs to be that long, but I think it has its merits. And overall, this is a good Bob Dylan album. I would put it in a kind of secondary tier to his top, his best work. It's certainly better than a lot of the stuff he did in the 80s. And I think it's better than the recent stuff he's done, with the Sinatra covers and what have you. So nice pressing, as you normally get with Dylan stuff. It's cool artwork, nice high quality vinyl. So no regrets about picking this up. Very nice inner sleeves with the kind of promotional singles that he did, the singles that he released before it came out. You got I Could Say Multitudes on that one. So yeah, it's good. It's good. It's just not great, I guess, would be my summation of this album. But it's one that's nice to have in the collection, as I am, as you can tell, a completist when it comes to Dylan, and there's still lots of gaps in my Dylan collection. So yeah, it's one that I had to buy. Right, so I decided to add a couple of Pink Floyd albums to my collection. So I'm trying to get closer to completing my Pink Floyd collection, and added a couple of reissues. First one is The Piper at the Gates of Dawn, obviously from 1967. This is their debut. As I say, this is the 2016 reissue. Yeah, it's a very interesting record. Obviously incredibly psychedelic, and I know some people have an issue with the Syd Barrett material, but I've always liked it. I do like Syd Barrett as a singer and even as a lyricist, even though his lyrics were very strange at times. Obviously this was the only album that he featured on in any kind of substantial capacity. So yeah, I like the mixture on here of the kind of instrumental stuff and the Syd Barrett stuff. I think it works well. It's not my favourite album of theirs. It'd probably be top 5, fourth or fifth in the ranking. But yeah, I just wanted a copy of this for some time, so decided to pick up the reissue. And these reissues are very, very affordable, so a bit of a no-brainer really. I also picked up the Wish You Were Here reissue from the same series from 2016. Don't need to say too much about this album. It's one of my favourites of theirs. Obviously got Shine On You Crazy Diamond, parts 1 to 5 and 6 to 9. Obviously the song Wish You Were Here, the title track, it's always incredibly emotive for me to listen to that song. And just the whole, the connotations, and the homage that they do on this album to Syd Barrett, and what happened to him is so sad. The breakdown that he suffered, in the kind of late 60s is sad, and I've learned more about that era of the band and how they kind of got through, that tricky period and moved forwards into something completely different in the 70s. And I just like how they return to the theme of Syd on Wish You Were Here. So yeah, as I say, check these reissues out. These are very inexpensive and affordable, so definitely a good way to listen to some Pink Floyd on vinyl. So got a couple of those. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to split this into 2 parts. So this is the final record I'll show in this video. I picked up My Bloody Valentine's Loveless on vinyl. Obviously this is the all analog reissue that they've just done. I think they did a couple of reissues. There was a non-analog version that was slightly cheaper, and this is like the deluxe edition that was an analog cut of the famous My Bloody Valentine album from, I think, 91 did this come out, around that time. And this is what they call shoegaze, which is a genre of music that I won't attempt to talk about too much because I'm very unfamiliar with it. I don't have many reference points in that genre of music. I have to say though, I do like this. It's very heady music. It's very, there's a vibe to it. It's hazy, it's dense, and it's like, walking through, this thick fog. It's a very odd listening experience, and it's not something that's probably up everybody's street. But for me, I think it's cool, and I think it's different to most of the stuff I listen to day to day. So decided to pick this one up. I was intrigued by the fact it was the analog version, which I don't think has been released on vinyl kind of since the original. So very interesting in that sense. You got a nice printed inner sleeve and very, very heavy pressing as well, which is very quiet and nice to listen to. So yeah, I think they did a great job with these. They released the other 2, MBV and what's the other one called? Can't remember what their debut's called now, but very similar pressing to the John Coltrane in terms of just the glossy finish and the tip-on jacket. So for what you're getting, for I think it was £24 I paid for this, pretty reasonable, I have to say. So yeah, if you're in the market for some shoegaze, or you want to hear the analog version of this classic album, then this is a good place to do that. All right then, so that concludes this vinyl update. Hopefully there were some interesting records there. I do have more to show, so stay tuned for another video in the next couple of weeks. But just want to say thank you to everybody who watched my Record Store Day video and commented and liked. It still means a lot, and it's nice to come back and make these videos again after so much time away from it. So thank you for watching this, and as I say, stay tuned for my next vinyl update. But hope everybody's staying safe, staying healthy, and I'll see you next time. Thanks guys.